Somebody have to mute your mic.
Mute your mic.
I'm trying.
This is from Tim Grotzinger.
Yes,
This one.
Tim, I think this is yours. You sent me a couple pictures, so maybe you can tell us what you've got here.
I got a stool here that I made for my shop. It's the top's 13.5 inches in diameter, stands about 24 inches high, and it's made of hickory. And that's just a side view to show you the detail on the legs and the runners.
What's the angle on those legs?
About 14 degrees.
What did you do? Set it up on the? Did you set it up on your drill press? To make the angle all the
I
same?
set it up on the drill press to drill the seat, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And that's just a one coat of poly on that.
Great job, Tim.
Thank
Nice
you.
job. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that might have? I'll turn this. I'll end the share here.
Doug, I want to grab something to show you real quick. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Does anybody else have something they'd like to share as far as things they've done in the last month? If not, how about here in the room? Let me just do this. Oh, no, you want to use that video here still? Well, no, I mean, use that camera that we're still on. And I'll put this back onto the Zoom here. Okay, I'm going to take. So what I'm doing here, we'll get this set up so people can see it. For those of you that are in the room here, I've got a small device here, so you can actually see without having to look at the without having to look at the camera. You can see what your image is down here, so you can sort of, for example, hold up a piece for the camera to see, looking at the camera. But that gives you approximate thing. So who's first here? Are all these from the monthly challenge, or some people just showing some stuff?
Why don't you show and tell? Mike
Very-
has some of both.
Come on, Mike. Show us. Gives it to
This
you.
is just a real quick one here. This is a piece of southern pine.
Let me highlight you, Mike. Got it.
Okay. So my niece was to be married last year this time. And of course, COVID got in the way. She did get married anyway, but the reception is this weekend up in Boston. This is a piece of southern pine from a family vacation home they have on Kewah Island down in South Carolina. And as we all know, trying to turn southern pine, if you sneeze on it, you get tear out. But what I did was, this inlay is sand from the beach, and which their home is on the beach down at Kewah. They have a beautiful house, but this is an exercise in not using your best tools, because essentially with this turning, and I use resin mixed with the sand and the seashells, the little white flecks you might see are shell particles. But the what it does to your tools is you use your mid-range tools, let's put it that way, and a fair amount of 80 grit to cut down through that resin. But
Here I would have thought, Mike, that you're actually sharpening and cutting at the same time.
well, that's what happened, man. I mean, yeah, except this isn't like a CBN wheel. This is more like a 20 grit wheel. So, but it's just got some Danish oil right now. It's just a little memento for them to know, because it is at that beach that that he proposed to her. So it's a little something as one of a number of wedding presents.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike.
Kutterbach, I'm a new member here, but I've been turning a while. I brought in 2 pieces for show and tell and 2 pieces for the President's Challenge. I guess the first one, this is another one of my multi-axis bowls. Same technique as that, I forget, was that a 7 or 8 sided I had
I
last
think
time?
you
I
had 7
forget.
sided. Oh, sorry. My apologies.
Yay. Piece of hickory, This is all 100% turned. There's no carving on it, which is good because I suck at carving. The really interesting thing about this piece of wood is if you look real close, the grain is very tight. I don't know if you can see how tight the grain is. Oh, we'll zoom out a little bit. If you, I didn't count them, but I
There you go.
estimated this is about 100 years worth of growth
Oh,
in this
wow.
piece of bowl. It's actually quarter sawn. The way I cut it out of the tree, it was about a 20-inch diameter tree, so that had to be 150-year-old tree I got this from. I guess it was happy for 150 years, and somebody decided it was in the wrong spot and put it down for firewood. That's the way things go. So it's a lot of fun. I'm playing around with this multi axis turning, and going to be doing a lot more of that.
How many axes did you say with that?
This has 7 points around, and then the 8th one is for the center.
Okay.
So this would be an 8-axis bowl.
Okay.
This is a bowl I played around with for quite a while. The inside I'm not really satisfied with. I tried bleaching it because I like the paint, but I also like to leave some of it natural. And I'm probably going to end up painting it, but the outside turned out really nice. Used some iridescent paint on it. And,
These guys are idiots.
Wow.
it's a carved. This one actually did carving on, which is why I know I suck at carving. So I worked on it. It was fun.
Can you,
Gave me something to do in
somebody's,
art class.
excuse me a minute, could people please mute their speakers? Because the last yawn was interesting to hear, but maybe not for everybody. So,
Should I do my president's
well,
challenge?
just before you go on to the next
Okay.
one with this one bowl you had, I want to know with that carving, did you carve grooves into the
All right, the way this is made is I turn steps
Okay, that's what I was
all
wondering.
the way
about.
around, and then I have a homemade parting tool was made out of a piece of banding, real thin, that I undercut each of these
Okay.
little petals.
On each of the steps.
Textured it with a needle scaler. I like a needle scaler.
Okay.
It was burnt, it was painted, it was sanded. It was just about everything to this one.
And how thick is the wall in there when you say you cut down the steps? How much wood do you have left to work with?
About 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
About 1/8 of an inch. I didn't want to go too thin. Probably could have left it a little heavier, but
Wow.
interesting process. Probably
Wow.
won't make another one.
Did you freehand all the arches or did you
Yes.
template
The-
the arches?
The question, excuse me, the question was, did you freehand all the arches or did you template all the arches?
Boy, that's a good question. I think I used a compass.
Okay.
So is that freehand or template?
Yes.
If you look, they're all actually not all even, symmetrical, perfect, because I suck at carving. So
Yeah.
they ended up
Well,
little of this, little of that.
I think people would agree that Mother Nature also sucks at perfection as far as geometric. So,
And it rocks like all my bowl. I never put two bottoms on my bowls. I like the art that moves.
cool.
Should I go on to my president's challenge?
Mike, Alan Miller here. That's a very nice bowl. I'm curious, do you have any clue how many hours do you have into that? It looks like a ton of work.
Not a clue, because probably worked on it for about 9 months. I take it to art class with me and work on it there.
Wow.
And I did stuff to it I didn't like, and I sanded it off and did it again and tried different things until I finally come to this. And I'm still going to do something to the inside because, like I say, I'm not really satisfied with the way the inside looks without painting on the outside. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet.
That needle scaler a pneumatic tool?
Yes.
or- I mean, it's an industrial
Sorry.
tool.
It's
question-
made for.
Sorry, just
sorry.
let me repeat the question
Thank you.
for the TV audience. It's the question was, is the needle scaler a pneumatic or an industrial tool? Is that what you
I
said?
mean, was it electric or pneumatic, and was it like an industrial grade?
Okay, sorry, was it electric or pneumatic, or was it an industrial grade tool?
It was pneumatic tool. It's Harbor Freight, so I don't think anything's
okay.
industrial grade, but it's made for cleaning metal.
Foundry work,
Yeah,
not scale off.
knock scale off of metal, clean up welds, stuff like that is what it's made for. But it's really great at texturing wood. Otherwise, you're sitting there with one of them little buzzers and going forever in little circles.
Perhaps before you go on to your monthly challenge, we could get Barry to show off his show and tell
Yes.
here.
Hey, could get a close-up on it here. It's about 3 years ago, I was at a wood auction and they had, one of the lots was 1 inch thick by about 12-inch wide Purple Heart. And I forget what I bid, but I was like the only person to bid on it. And it's been sitting around wondering what can I do with it, short of laminating it into something thicker. So I'm starting about 4 or 5 platters that are all, of course, going to be 1 inch thick, but have some other feature. In this case, I saw a demo on YouTube or something with this crackle paint. You can buy it in about 7 different colors, and you spray it on top of regular paint. And it's amazing. Right before your eyes, in about 2 minutes, you have this great texture. I got the size of the scale, or the size of the crackle, is proportional to how thick you put the crackle paint on. In this case, it was like a turquoise color underpaint and then black crackle paint sprayed on top. And if you spray it on thick, you get this coarse crackle. If you spray it on very thin, you get this finer crackle that you can see closer to the inside of the rim. Personally, I prefer the small, but it's kind of hard to get it all uniform. And then I just took a gold acrylic chisel tip marker and outlined it on the inside and the outside.
Wow. That's pretty impressive, Barry.
Thank you. I was real happy with how it turned out. And it's water locks. I think about 4 coats of water locks on it.
Wow.
Great color contrast.
Do we have any other questions or comments for Barry from the field?
Doug, I gotta ask you, I thought Waterlocks was something of a penetrating finish. Is it a film finish?
Actually, it was wiped on, and it does penetrate, and especially on Purple Heart. You need about 3 coats at least just to try to fill the grain. It's like a lot of tropical woods. It really absorbs a lot of finish. The rim, I sprayed clear acrylic on the rim prior to rubbing water locks on, just to make sure that I didn't get any kind of smear interaction when I rubbed the water locks.
Okay.
So the rim has been coated twice with clear acrylic, and the clear acrylic really draws out gives a 3-dimensional quality to the crackle paint. And then after I already had about 3 coats on the center and the back, I wiped on 1 remaining coat of water locks on the entire thing.
Okay.
And then I ran it through a polisher and buffer to get the gloss that you see there.
Yeah, that rim really shows well, even remotely. That looks great.
Thank you. I guess we're back to Mike.
Yep.
And by the way, before we go back to Mike, he has tentatively agreed to sometime, I think in the new year, demonstrate the technique on that multi-axis bowl that he just showed. I've seen a few of his, and they all look really terrific. So I'm looking forward to that demonstration coming up.
Thank you, Barry. You, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike again. We're all Mike here. For my president's challenge was to do something I've seen demonstrated. So I made this little cherry hollow form. It's going to get painted and everything. Right now it's just textured. Last month out at Michael K's, I watched Derek Weidman did a texturing on a place. Of course, his was more of a plate instead of a hollow form. And he used a chainsaw and I used a Fordham. And he did it with the lathe running and I did this in my lap. But other than that, it's exactly what he did.
They both used an abrasive.
Hey
So,
Doug, that
yeah.
microphone's not on.
oh
Oh,
no.
power going off.
Is it on now?
Yes.
How about this one? Does this one work?
Working, Mike.
Everybody hear me now?
Yes.
I'm going to tell my joke again. So everybody just laugh. Thank you. Thank you. That's one problem with doing Zoom demos. You never hear the people laugh. The other thing I brought in is this was over a year ago. I saw it was actually a YouTube and I kind of modified it to my own. All these pieces are loose. You can switch them around. If you want to spend the time and sit down and match, there's actually 4 different patterns, depending which way you orient the pieces. I kind of made this to be like a wall. I got to hold it because that's one of my questions is what's a good way to hold these in the frame when it's hanging on the wall, but have them be adjustable that you can switch them around. Because being that there's 6 different squares and each square can be turned 8 different ways, it's a total of 188,743,680 different combinations. So you can have a different look for the next 500,000 years if you so desire. But the frame I just threw together real quick. It needs some work. I just super glued it together just so I'd have something to show. But
Can people out there, sorry, can you hear them out there all right?
Yes, we can hear him.
Phone was closer.
okay,
Sorry, that's,
it's hard to hold everything up. It's gonna fall.
here, try this again.
Oh no. I bet that was loud.
Yeah, that,
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, Mike, just speak louder into the microphone.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Thomas. You abandoned me tonight.
I'm working, so I couldn't go. And my car's in the shop.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, drill a hole through the center of each one of those.
Yes.
Put a ferrous rod in it and then attach rare earth magnets to the frame on the inside, and then they'll stick in the frame and they won't fall out. And you can turn them, you can still turn them to each side.
I thought about magnets, but thank you. I didn't think of the rod through the center.
Yeah, because all 4 sides are decorated, right?
All 4 sides are decorated.
Yeah, so just put iron in the side inside and then put rare earth magnets, which will grab probably through the wood on the frame, and I bet it'll hold.
Thank you. I think I'm probably what I'm going to do.
But that'll cut your combinations in half, right?
No,
No, because the magnet will be right through the center.
you can still turn them 4 ways or
Yeah, but I thought you could flip.
you
yeah,
can still- well,
yeah, you can.
as long as
Oh,
you
okay.
take them out.
The rod's not holding them.
No.
Gotcha.
No, it's just for the magnet to attract. That's a good
That's a
idea.
good point. Good one, Thomas.
Yeah, these will probably get painted again. I kind of went for the look of just kind of haphazardly globbing paint on, and I think I succeeded at that, but I really don't like the look of it a whole lot. I think if I was a little more precise and careful with my painting, it might look better. Not really sure, so.
I'm a little disappointed they're not pressure fit into the frame.
No, I wanted them loose enough.
Was this paint in a tube that you put on with your finger or?
Question, the question I asked was this paint in a tube applied by finger?
No, it's golden, soft liquid paint, liquid body paint. I forget they're softest body paint, and I use a brush. This actually used a brush. I like my airbrush though, 'cause I use both. Some people don't use both. They kind of don't like their airbrush and they call it.
That's
basic.
light body paint, right, Mike?
I'm not sure what Golden calls theirs. Liquid body, soft body. I think Liquitex is soft body. The question was, what does Golden call theirs? Or yeah, Golden call their soft paint, but I kind of gravitated towards Golden over all the other brands of acrylic paint. It just seems to have this the most pigment for the colors. A lot of them seem to be a little washed out. Yeah. And that's what my brought for my challenge. There's another piece here.
Yeah, it's mine.
I have one, Doug. Can
Go
I
ahead.
Jump in. You
Yeah, go ahead.
cameras.
So for my the challenge of turning something we saw demonstrated, I was inspired by Scott Royer's texturing demo, and I have one of these Robert Sorby texturing tools that comes with this adjustable saddle that you can change the angle so that when you're holding it flat, you can change the angle of the tool. But one thing I found is the results were never predictable for me. I never knew quite what texture I was going to get. So using seeing the way he had his pucks set up, I got a bunch of 1x4 poplar, and I just with my drill press put a 2 1/8 recess in it with a Forstner bit, and then turned those down into a bunch of pucks that I could apply the texture. And then on the back, I would label what wheel I was using, what angle setting I was at, and what speed, so that I could go through and then I could get a more predictable result. And so I have over 30 pucks here, or 24 pucks actually, with a bunch of different textures, all my texturing tools. That way I could see, okay, I really like this pattern. Now I know how to reproduce it somewhat.
So, and were you successful in your reproduction, you feel?
I just made the pucks. I haven't
Oh.
reproduced yet, but that's the plan so far. So, and the other thing was
So Windows G.
with,
Again, I ask people to mute themselves, please.
yes,
I think it was John.
does anybody,
When do I press to record it?
can someone mute?
I do.
The other texturing tool I've been using, he had the decorating elf tool, but I picked up a die grinder from Tractor Supply. This was $12, and it came with its own set of dies, which are grinders, which are basically what the Henry tool is. So I've been
Okay.
using this. It's not, I don't use it air powered. I've never hooked it up to my compressor, and I just let it free spin. So
Matthew, I'd be curious if you were to run one of those,
Trip for here there.
if you were to run one of those 24 on another piece of wood, like perhaps walnut or some harder wood than poplar, to see if you get
Yeah.
the same results.
yeah, that would be my next plan. I want to mount these forward and actually mount
The
them
many
to it.
times you've auditioned for me,
Excuse me.
I've never
I'm
auditioned
trying to,
for you.
I'm getting some guys that are.
You know
not-
Scott back? I am not. Oh, the other one.
We're getting
Got
some
it.
feedback from.
So listen, I won't say a word, but my favorite podcast just dropped a new episode tonight.
All right.
I mean,
Can everyone still hear me?
They can't tell back. Give it a thumbs up if you can still hear them.
Can I? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Doug, we're going to switch over to you.
What
Okay.
kind of wood are they?
These are poplar.
What,
Oh, okay.
So my plan is to make a display board that I can mount these all with a magnet. And then like Mike was suggesting, which is a great suggestion, is to try another wood like walnut.
Is all the work on end grain?
Both. These are all face grain. And then, you know, I did the edges too.
Okay.
So, let's see. And if you look on the back, the speed is a strange speed. Like this is speed 20. It's not actually 20 RPMs. I've replaced my motor on my old Delta 46 with a treadmill motor, and the controller on that goes from 0 to 100. So 20 is the speed. I have no idea what RPMs it is.
I've got a mic on here so I can do this.
I'll take this one with me.
I've got a microphone already on. Sorry, I think people can hear me. So if this is my demonstration was for Angelo Afraidy. As you know, he turns magic tricks so that you take the ball out and hide it and then bring it back. It's still there. This is one of my first attempts, and I'm doing other ones just to try it, but it's just put it back in again, and away you go. Sorry. So that was, I've been enjoying trying to do that. It's the secret is, as Angela will tell you, it's the thin lid on the second ball, getting that thin enough to make it round. So it's a bit of a challenge making this. The biggest challenge is making the top part, and also getting the colors to match on the zoom. But anyway, trying some more. Still working away on trying to fix an elbow injury, so I haven't been doing too much turning recently, but it's still a lot of fun to challenge yourself. And with that, is there anybody else that has show and tell? I'm gonna
Quick
go-
question, Doug.
Yeah.
What's the thickness of the shell of the cap, the fake ball?
Oh, it's between the 32nd and the 64th of an inch.
Wow.
So we'll remove the spotlight and go back to
Doug, what kind of wood was that? The thin shell?
cherry. The important part of the shell is that it has to be the same wood as the interior of the sorry, let me just go back and spotlight this again.
How many tries did you do to make it?
How many tries did I do to make it?
Yeah.
Well, I would say maybe a couple. The issue is, so back to Mike's question, is that the inside of the shell and the inside of the cap need to be the same color. Sorry, need to be the same color. Otherwise, it's obvious when you pull the thing out. So you have a choice. You can either paint both the inside of the cap and the inside of the shell the same color, or leave it natural. In this case, I left it natural. And back to the question of how many tries did I think? If you guys are using boxes, you'd be surprised how thin you guys make your box lids and stuff like that. So it's not necessarily as much of a challenge going forward as you might think, though. I found that the biggest problem was not making the lid, but not going through the, as Angelo said, not going through the top right here when you're making this round, to try and make this appear to be perfectly round. And this one's obviously egg-shaped, but Angelo tries to make this spherical as well. And to put a 2-inch ball inside of a 2 1/4 inch and get that whole system set up correctly is a bit more of a challenge.